Let me ask you, first of all, what brings you to the British Isles?
Once again, my friend Scott Murray and Premier's Suite for their banquet.
Yeah.
We had the banquet last night. Previous to that, I had been there, I believe, 4 years in a row from 2015 to 2018. And obviously the last couple of years, COVID. And so it's been a while since I've been brought back. I don't know when the next time I'll be brought back, because Scott keeps saying people get tired of seeing me. So I said, okay, well, I want to, but I tell you, it's one of the best trips I do. I look forward to it every year. I really do. So I hope you have. I'll keep coming back as long as you'll have me.
And you're with the Italian stallion Joe Calzaghe last night, I hear. Are you an admirer of his work?
Yes, of course. Joe's younger than me, and I was very much so. Big fan of his. And I've said this to Scott many times. You've had so many great fighters from the UK, so many great fighters. But for me, Kenny Buchanan and Joe Calzaghe. Barry McGuigan too. Don't get me wrong. Barry McGuigan, what he did, beating Pedroza for the title was incredible. But I'm talking about for longevity, because usually when you say greatness is longevity. But Kenny Buchanan and certainly Joe, two, if not, the two best, if not two of the top three best.
I mean, you were in your pomp in really the early 80s.
Right.
And you've always had very strong and very honest and accurate views on boxing.
Thank you. I try. The American press and American public don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear what they want to hear because they're fanboys, and they don't want to hear the truth about boxing. And I tell people, one's personal, one's business. One ain't got nothing to do with the other. I don't take personal shots. I'm a lover of fighters. I'm a lover of the fight game. But if a fighter is stinking out the joint, or if a fighter doesn't perform like he should, for whatever reason, I'm going to call him out on it. But the American public don't want to hear that, or the networks.
How different was boxing when you won the world lightweight title in 1982? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Against Arturo Frias. How different was boxing then?
Well, we were on at that time, the national networks, the three main networks got involved. First of all, for years, it was always the ABC affiliate that had boxing, only the ABC, Wide World of Sports. They come all over. They used to come to Europe quite a bit. And they used to have one, maybe two fights a quarter, but maybe like one a quarter, so 4 times a year. But all you see the same guys. Carlos Monzon fighting from Monte Carlo. Sometimes you see fighters, John Conte fighting from San Remo. But it was Duran fighting from Panama City. And then, of course, Ali would come. They'd show an Ali fight too, of course. But it's usually, I got to see, Carlos Monzon, Rodrigo Valdez fights, and they love the Argentinian fighters. And they love to fight Monte Carlo. So their promoter there had a great, had a deal there, obviously. So through the years, and then they'd come to Wembley, early, of course, Alan Minter when he won the title over here. I believe he won in Wembley. I believe Alan Minter won the title. He defended it there. I certainly know that. I remember when he defended that. So there's so many good fighters through the years that when the networks got involved, and then in 1981, CBS gets involved, and they want to showcase the lightweights. Oh man, I hit the juggernaut. I was just very fortunate that I come at the right time. You can't plan that life. Life happens, and I was very fortunate. I came at the right time, and I had the right style for the American television, maybe international television. People want to see fights. They want to see fighters put on a good show, and I always felt obligated when I got in the ring to put on that good show, and or try to, I should say. And so that's all. I came at the right time. It was perfect timing. The lightweights got showcased, and then later on, of course, NBC got involved. So the networks were involved. That's the difference. I was showcased in front of 60 million people. So not that I'm saying 60 million people watch me, but they had accessibility to watch me. 60 million people domestically, over 100 million people worldwide. So especially in Europe, whatever you guys watch it on. So the visibility factor, recognizability factor was so much. When I won the title, Bob Arum and the time promoter Rodolfo Sabatini brought me to Italy. They recognized me in the streets, and that's when I realized this world title means something. It's you know, in power television. It's just you can't describe it.
I've just written a piece actually, which brought you into focus for me with on some of the biggest punchers of all time. And obviously in 1981, you met Calzaghe, who arguably is one of the top 20 punchers of all
absolutely.
time. 14 rounds. You didn't win that night, but can you recall that contest and how big it was at the time?
Very much so. Because first of all, I love Lexus. He was one of my heroes growing up. You know, my Roberto Duran and Lexus Cuello. I love them guys. And so I remember when Lexus won his first title when he beat Ruben Olivares at the Inglewood Farm in Los Angeles. I remember when he beat Escalera on national television in Puerto Rico. And I remember when he beat Jim Watt over here. Yeah. And so after I saw him fight Jim Watt, you know, and I was on the climb, and I was saying I was supposed to be somebody who could fight. I said, I would love that fight because Alexis, I just thought I'd be too strong for him. You know, I just thought I'd be able to open my, you know, because Alexis
long
pressure fed long the right.
Yeah,
I felt I could get inside. You know, you think all these things, but I want that fight. People will say you were too young. I was 20 years old. I only had 20 fights. But I tell people, I said, look, to be great, you want to challenge greatness. You got to beat the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best. You don't want to go around them sideways. You go right at them. And I felt I was catching him at the right time. And I just beat the number 6 contender in the world, and I just beat the number 3 contender in the world, where everyone that was such a big favorite. Las Vegas wouldn't even take a bet. And that was Jose Luis Ramirez. And Ramirez, the fight before me, our fight, fought Alexis down in Miami in a non-title fight. Dropped Alexis twice, and Alexis got the decision. Little home cooking there, but so I appointed Ramirez all 12 rounds. I shut him out. So I had the momentum. I always tell people, I had the momentum. They offer you the shot. What are you going to say? No, I'll wait till next time. There is no next time.
Yeah.
People don't understand. Nowadays, no, I'm not going to take that fight. I'll wait till I get the WBO, or I'll wait for the IB or some other bullshit title. It just makes no sense to me. So that's, you know, today's fighters, there's no legacy. They fight once, maybe twice a year, and there's no legacy. And I was telling Scott, and I tell people last night, the one thing I'm proud of is my whole career was only 5.5 years. But the thing I'm most proud of is a champ for 2 years, from May of 82 to June of 84. I had 7 title defenses. 7 title fights in 24 months. That's one every 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, but I'm not the only one. There's a lot of guys during that time. Pedroza, before he fought Barry, he's the champion for 7, 8 years. Defended the title 19 times. That's an average of 2 to 3 years. That's what you're supposed to be. So you can't. There's no legacy for these guys anymore, and that's what I'm most proud of. First of all, and CBS was smart. They felt I had a good story. You know, look, I was the only white fighter in a sport of most of the people come from economic backgrounds. You know, mainly Blacks and Hispanics, and I was the only white fighter. And I didn't come from the barrio or the ghetto. I went to parochial school for 12 years. I come from a loving middle class family, but my whole construct to fight was no different than theirs. They were hungry, but I was hungry. I was hungry to get that title from my father. And that's why, you know, when I travel the country now in America, and I go into these jails, go into jails to talk, and people look, you know, how can you identify where I come from? And I tell them, again, I come from a middle class family. I can't, your upbringing, but nobody can keep using their upbringing as an excuse. At some point in life, you make your own bones. You make your own story. But I'm telling, and that's what I tell them. But when you got in the ring with me, when I got in the gym, your hunger ain't no bigger than mine. People are hungry for different reasons. My hunger was for success, not an economic reason, for success. They win that title from my father. And that's just as strong as anybody's. So the network caught on to that, CBS, and they kept building that story, you know, me and my father. But you know, so years later, people said, well, you were a television fighter. You were made for television, made you. I said, yeah, but what does it mean if I'm a losing fighter? If I'm a losing fighter, there is no story. There is no story. That's why these people don't make sense. Yes, but I fought the number 6 contender, I beat the number 3 contender, and then I fought Aguayo. You know, and that's what people say, oh, you're too young, you weren't ready. weren't ready. I went 14 rounds with him. If I wasn't ready, I got blown up. I get blown out in one or two rounds. That's when you're not ready. Plus, I was ahead on 2 to 3 cards. I was ahead on 2 to 3 and another card. So if it's 12 rounds, I'm the world champion. And the other card was even. That's what these people don't understand. But that's why I'm a true believer. The true championship distance is 15 rounds, not 12. True championship distance. Yeah. So
I've seen some comments from you on the lightweight division today. Obviously, what we see today is a kind of talent replete division, you know, with George Kambosos and Haney about to fight. Ryan Garcia is a young rising star with a big media following. I'm going to ask you about these in a minute. You know, Gervonta Davis, Shaka Stevenson could come up to lightweight. There's the things you're talking about there, they aren't all meeting each other very quickly. Teofimo Lopez is moving up. How do you see that fight between George Kambosos and Devin Haney? I
think, well, Kambosos came to America and beat Teofimo, who, you know, was the most dangerous of them. Him and Tank Davis are two most dangerous punchers at that division. And he walked through him. Now, I loved Teofimo was a friend of mine. Teofimo could fight is like heck. But George Kambosos' determination and desire overcame all that. And what did he do? He dropped him the first, second round. Oh, that changed the fight right there. That changed the fight. Because now Lopez realized, I'm on my ass. How'd that happen? And this kid came to fight. And George came, as you say over, he's a hard man. He came forward, kept coming forward. Determination, chin, you know, no matter what Teofimo hit him with, he walked through it. And then later, Teofimo came on and he wound up dropping Kambosos later in the fight. But Kambosos got up and just won the rest of the round and won the last round or two. Because I think he dropped him in the 10th round. He won the last 2 rounds. My point being is Kambosos was in control of that whole fight from the beginning till he got dropped. You can't deny him the title. And so I have a lot of respect for Teofimo. He was, again, we know now he wasn't 100%, had a hard time making weight, and I know that very well. But the fact of the matter is, he got ring and he got beat. He got beat good. So I love this Kambosos. I love watching him fight. I don't know enough about Haney. I read a lot about him. I don't know, but I admire him. He's going over to Australia. He didn't ask him to come here. Yeah. He's not demanding. He went over. He signed whatever they wanted to get that deal. I'd get admire that. So Haney's going over there. I think Kambosos is too strong. Now he's, they say when you become a champion, it takes you to another level, confidence-wise. And I think Kambosos will be too strong for Haney because he's strong as hell. I think Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, I don't know enough about him. I saw him fight Luke Campbell. He's basic. He's basic. There's nothing.
With some power. With power.
Yeah, he can punch. Yes. Okay. So what? A lot of guys, if the guy standing in front of you, look, Luke Campbell dropped him, then he backed up. Why would you come on him, jump on him? I don't understand that. So, and he didn't go and knock, either lock Luke Campbell down or whatever. They stopped the fight. But I'm just saying, Luke Campbell looked like he dropped him, and then was like, okay, I did my job, and that's that. My point being, Ryan Garcia does not impress me. I'm sure he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter, but he's not with. I'm reading all the stuff, and I don't see. What I saw was not what they're writing about. Again, you said Devin Haney. I don't know enough about him. I know he got fast hands, can box, very good boxer, good high ring IQ. So I'm anxious to see him. But Tank Davis is the best of them.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Who emerges as the best of the year in that? It's Davis.
Tank Davis. Yeah. I've been up and close to saw Tank when I was doing commentary for Fox. Yeah. Tank Davis hits. He's a junior lightweight, featherweight, hits like a welterweight. And he's a quiet, nice kid, just a sweet kid. He had a tough upbringing, and I think he uses all that energy from his upbringing, all that hunger in the ring. Because I'm telling you what, that's going to be a headache for a lot of guys. He's going to be, he can go multi-divisions. He can move up to 140, 147 maybe. I don't know, but he could be there as long as he wants to be.
Sorry, the other day, again, this is a fascinating view you had that I read, that you believe that Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight may unseat Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Oh, yeah. Bivol can fight. Bivol has a high boxing IQ. And he's a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
Look, First, let me say about Canelo. I admire this guy. I can't tell you how much I admire him because he's challenging greatness. He's doing things that nobody's doing now. Nobody's jumping up a 2-3 weight division. Nobody. They're asking for catch weights. He ain't doing that. So I don't know if he'll beat Bivol. I'm actually picking Bivol because Bivol can fight. Now people say, well, Canelo's not going to move up if he ain't confident if he can't beat him. You got to challenge greatness. I'm sure he is confident. He's walking through the other guys. You know, I tell you, the guy to me that would be the best fight, the hardest fight. I mean, besides Bivol. I'm picking Bivol to win. If he fights the way I've seen him fight, he should win. But I'm going to tell you the guy who's going to be a problem for Canelo. And Canelo don't want to see. Not the fighter, because Canelo, he'll fight anybody, obviously. His
Can I
management.
guess? Can I guess who you're going to say?
Yes, please.
Not at light heavyweight, no?
No.
No, Better Biev will be a hard fight for him, but I think you're going to say Benavidez.
Absolutely. You knew exactly. David Benavidez, and I've been up close and watched him. Young kid, tall, strong. His hand speed is off the charts.
Very direct, isn't he?
And he's and tough as they come.
Yeah.
Punch like a son of a gun. And he got a lot of heart. A lot of, he's got that the Azteca warrior, mentality, the Mexican warrior mentality. No. I'm not saying, boxers will fight anybody. We know that. We'll take it. We'll fight King Kong.
Yeah.
But the managers, try to get the manager's job. My manager used to tell me, because I used to tell my manager, line them up, because they were calling me all out. Everybody was calling me out. Line them up. I'll go right down one at a time. And I'll never forget. He said, Ray, you can't fight anybody that wants to fight you. That's physically not possible. He said, my job is to get you the best fight for the most money. That's my job. Mm-hmm. And so I always remember, meaning Canelo's people, that's what they're doing. I think, I think Canelo fight anybody, and he's doing that. I think it's just people realize that Benavidez would be a headache. I think Benavidez would be the hardest fight. I think they're going to stay away from that as long as they could until they have to fight. The problem with Benavidez is he keeps eating himself out of a division. He keeps eating himself out of weight divisions, But he's a big guy, so I understand. To make 68 is very difficult. So he'd have to go probably fight him at 175. So, but Canelo's the best in the world right now. Best pound for pound fighter.
As a traditional, as a purist, as an old school boxing guy, how do you feel about the emergence of these kind of sideshows with YouTubers coming to boxing?
Just what you said, it's a sideshow. I was there because I'm in Ohio and I'm on the boxing commission when Jake Paul fought, and they invited me up. But it is a freak show. 16,000 people came to see him. And all of a sudden, we're sitting there at the ringside. All of a sudden, you hear this roar of the crowd. Ah! I said, who walked in? Muhammad Ali? It was his brother, Logan. You shake your head. You can't make this up. And who's that? It's all these, I call them the believers. Justin Bieber has all these believers. They're all believers, because they had their hair combed the same way, colored the same. I go, oh my God. These kids have no originality. It's just, I don't get it. Here's what I'll say. And I said this repeatedly. They're from Cleveland. I'm from Youngstown. I didn't know them before. These kids train like fighters. They train hard. They train. I admire it. I tell it. I admire the fact that first that they created a business that they did. They found a niche. Mm-hmm. I have no knock. They train like 8-year-old fighters. They have real people in the corner, like BJ Flores, right? They have real fighters being the hype guys walking into the ring like Andre Berto. They do everything seems like the right way. They just can't fight. They just can't. They don't get the talent to fight. If they fight a real fighter, they get knocked dead.
Yeah,
that's the problem. But they know that, and so they're going to keep this freak show going on for as long as they can, as you said, the sideshow, and until somebody says enough. But they're filling out arenas that fighters, regular boxers can't do. Can't do it. So it goes, boxing has always been entertainment, sportstainment, right? And so I have no problem with it. I have no animals. I admire them what they're doing very much. I admire very much what they're doing. Just don't drink the Kool-Aid and think that they can, people actually think they can fight. Guys are calling out Canelo, right? Jake Paul. Now, Canelo's but if it gets big enough, it's like when Conor McGregor called out Floyd Mayweather. He had to have one professional fight. I'm talking about in boxing ring. The little kid from MMA. Anybody else did that and said, I want to fight Floyd Mayweather, never had one professional fight, they'd say, stop that, yeah, 5 years, could win about 20 fights, and he did it though, because there was enough of a demand, because again, sideshow mentality.
The two biggest marketeers in fight sports at the time, weren't they? That's the thing, they
of course
knew how to sell it.
exactly.
The world tour. I mean, I went to it all and I covered it all. It was extraordinary. Even the fight, Floyd did a very clever job during the fight, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Carried it, give the people the money worth, give as a kid's self-confidence, and then when it's time to turn it on, he did. He closed the show. But I admired McGregor, took it on, the best fighter of the last 20 years, took who he called out. He called him, I didn't call him just anybody, called him out. I admired that very much. And because if Floyd would fight him in any other genre, he'd get knocked out or choked out, So Conor McGregor, I never met him, but I admire what he's doing. I admire him very much. And so in the same respect, with Jake Paul's doing, it's kind of not the same, because Jake Paul's not a real fighter. He's just not. He's fighting MMA guys who aren't strikers or punchers. He's fighting guys that, 80% of MMA, I help a lot of these MMA guys, because I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I know, I was going to ask you that later in life, you've got more involved in the ground game and Jiu-Jitsu. It's a way of life, isn't it? And you look incredibly fit.
It is. Well, thank you. It is because these guys are great athletes. MMA guys are great athletes, but they got to know a lot of genres, not only boxing, but more the ground game, because that's where, 9 out of 10 times you're going to the dirt, you're going down. That's why I want to learn it, just for the street. So 80% was on your back, 10% is kicking, and 10% is the hands. Well, you can't develop hands, and they're not used to getting hit on the chin. So Jake Paul does this. So everybody calls out, and he's only doing it in boxing match, are these MMA guys, and who aren't used to getting hit. I was at the last fight. I forgot the last guy. He fought big, strong, the black man. The black
Tyron Woodley, the former UFC
welterweight. Yeah, Tyron Woodley. But I thought Woodley won the fight. I thought if you're going just by the fight, the job in boxing is to hit you more than you hit me. He did. He pressed the fight. There's a thing called ring generalship. Who presses the fight? Who makes the fight? He did. But he sold 2 tickets, so he ain't going to get the decision. No, of course not. So that's the point. If you go in there, these people are making big money, fighting more than they make in the octagon.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like this girl, Amanda Serrano. She's like one of Jake Paul's proteges, right? Or he signed her up, and she's fighting Katie Taylor, probably the biggest fight in women's MMA history.
I think women's boxing history, definitely the biggest fight. Yeah. Will you be there?
So, no, I won't be there, but I'll be watching it.
Are you a fan of women's boxing now as well?
No, I'm not. And I'll tell you why. Don't get me wrong. Here's the reason. The way I was raised to think of women, and I've said this for a long time. I said, look, if you give women enough, they're terrific fighters. They're terrific fighters. It's hard enough watching a guy I don't know get smacked around or get to watch a woman is very difficult. And I said, women are stronger than men in every way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every which way, but physically, in general. And if you give them enough time, they'll be better fighters. There's no dispute. They're stronger enough. They'll be better fighters. We know that. I just want to go out with any woman that has a chance of kicking my ass. But no, it's hard to watch them, but they're terrific. They're very smart and they're tough as they come, of course. And I just met the young lady the other day up here in the gym. I wish I remember her name, Scott, but no. Tough and it was just, you admire them. You could see, they got that laser focus once they're in the gym, because they know they're already, they're in the men's world, so to speak, and when you're in the gym in combat sport, so they have to stand out. So I really admire the MMA, especially the women. I just not a fan because I hate to see them get hit. That's all. That's my point.
A couple of other little questions before I let you go. You will have seen and heard and be aware of. We're in Britain. We're getting 100,000 people to Wembley Stadium for Tyson Fury. Joshua's filling out stadiums. We've just had fights in Nottingham, in Leeds, in Manchester, where there's 20,000 fans coming. Do you marvel when you come here and maybe it is even stronger than America. And I know America has a very
Yeah.
crowded entertainment and sports landscape that you're fighting for space in. Now, I've been going there many years. I know how the algorithms of it. But does it amaze you how strong the love of fight sports is in this country?
Absolutely. There's no dispute. I've said this for a long time. The European fans, much like the people in South America, are the greatest, most fanatical fans. They're the most passionate fans for all sports. Football, obviously, but for boxing. So I was talking about the two biggest international sports that I know are football and boxing. But when you see what they do, like I said, a guy like Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, anyone in the UK could sell out 80,000. Oh my God, it's incredible. I wish that could, those type of stadiums around. I mean, we had stadiums, of course, but for the American public, they'd rather put you in a tent. Like I thought, the biggest stadium I thought was a high school football stadium back in Ohio. It was 20,000 seats, and I sold it out. Yeah. That was incredible. It's one of the greatest days of my life. I wish I had a better opportunity to do that on a regular basis, just to see. But when you see that, it's incredible. For the American public to see that is unbelievable. The only thing close to what they do that in Mexico. When Canelo fought, years, and he fights or if he fights in Texas, in Dallas, he sold about 90,000, and he sold 67,000 there. Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see what they do over here. It's and especially when you get a champion, why would you go anywhere else? There's no need to come to the States. No need.
There was a time when even going back to Joe Calzaghe, Ricky Hatton, those careers, Frank Bruno, all those guys, there was a time here when you thought you needed to conquer America.
Right.
But maybe there are more stars coming here now. Demetrius Andrade has a press conference today to fight Zach Parker. That's going to be here. I do think there's more of a switch for some reason, and it is around. It's about numbers, isn't it? It's
yeah. And you just said it is numbers. It is numbers. For years, people say to me all the time, I bet you wish you were fighting now on pay-per-view. I say yes and no. If I get paid to the people I put in the seats and the ratings I did on television, yeah. But when I was fighting, I was exposed to over 60 million people domestically.
Yeah.
On network television, over 100 million people worldwide on network television. I was, that's something different. You can't do that with pay-per-view. Pay-per-view, I think they say there's a 500,000 homes. There's 2 million homes available for pay-per-view. So if you get a 2% buy rate, which is 500,000 people, 500 to 600,000, that's a big success. I'd rather be able to fight in the large stadiums. Because you can never compare that to anything. It's the greatest feeling in the world. So I think, and plus to be a true world champion, you want to fight globally. You want to fight around the world. You want to challenge these guys. You remember the 70s, Ali came to Europe and he did a European tour.
He did.
Yeah, granted, but he gave everyone an opportunity.
Joe Louis did a European tour in the 20s.
Yes,
yes.
Yes. I think because be a true
world champion. Jack Johnson, Jack Johnson, I meant in the 20s. Well, not Joe Louis.
And so, to be a true world champion, you should fight globally, not just in this. But American fighters are not leaving. And then, that's why when I hear people talk about a guy like a Floyd Mayweather, terrific fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he didn't leave Las Vegas. Yeah. Why? He didn't leave Las Vegas because he wasn't comfortable. He was in his little comfort zone. See, that's, to me, no, challenge greatness. You go fight these guys in their backyard. If you think that you're that great, go fight them in Mexico. Go fight them in the UK. Go fight them in Germany. Go fight them wherever they are. Why wouldn't you get to see the world? Why wouldn't you do that?
That's why you're here now. Get a see in the world. Just finally, I think you're 61. What's in life motivates you now, and what are your projects left to achieve?
Well, being in the entertainment business, producing films. I got a couple of, I have a project at Netflix right now, crime thriller about my hometown of Youngstown.
Nice.
I have
is that fiction? Is that fiction? Yeah.
It's fictional story based on factual events. Yes.
Okay. So it's one of those. Story. It's one of those. Yeah.
It's fact based. Yes, it's fact based. Yeah. 2 words in my business changed the game. 2 words: based on. See, we can say, "I'm doing your life." Yeah, I'm doing your life. No, you repeat, because what happens is, people come to you and say, "What to do?" There's like people want to do mobsters, right? Get the right stories. The family would jam them up with asking for stupid, exorbitant numbers. So then they find, okay, but then when the internet came out, they go, okay, well, we get everything on the internet. Because now they say, oh, you can't tell. I said, oh, yeah, we can, because it's public domain.
Yeah,
So
based on.
it's based on. So it's going to be stuff, but we're going to change a few things, and that's what you have to do. So now that's changed the game. But it's based on my hometown of Youngstown. It's a crime thriller. We're one of the only cities of our size control anywhere in the country, maybe in the world, controlled by two major crime families, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So it's about that, and it's been like that forever. So. But I have that. That's at Netflix. I have 2 independent films. That again, I've one that's a crime thriller and takes place in the world of EDM, right? Electronic dance music, which is the number 1 genre worldwide, globally. So there's a lot of interest in that. So we got a couple of things in a hopper, and just keep grinding it out. Look, I approach the entertainment business the same way I approach my fights. I keep coming forward. Keep getting disappointed, knocked down. Keep people, say no. Well, okay, keep coming, moving forward. Eventually, I'm going to do it. I've already done it. I mean, I produced for the studios. I produced for MGM. I produced for Warner Brothers. But I want to get to a place where I have a steady place that's like a studios that could be my home, where I can develop many projects for them.
That's why you're the boom boom man. Ray Mancini, it is brilliant to see you and catch up with you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time. Honest to God. Thank you for having me.